Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 3DO Experience, the 3DO retrospective podcast, where we talk about all things 3DO, the company, the console, and everything in between. I am Bill, and this is Threk. How you doing, Threk?
Oh, howdy, Bill. I'm doing great. How are you? I don't know why I'm talking like this, so I'm just going to try to transition into a normal voice. Hi, Bill. It's hot as fuck out here. I assume it's hot as fuck out there, too.
It hasn't been warm. It hasn't been cold. That's what I'll say. It's we're in the middle of a rainy period, so it's kind of cooled down a bit,
Yeah.
but it's not fun.
No,
How was your Father's Day? It was Father's Day weekend for everybody.
no, it was fine. Chilled out. My son really wanted to play more Sonic Frontiers,
Nice.
so I booted that up for him. I had to re-download it, and I had forgotten how much content they added to Frontiers to the point where I'm like, I think I just need to replay this whole thing.
That's what I was
Reboot up my save, get all the achievements I missed. Looking at the list, there's really not that many, and most of them don't really seem that difficult. And then play through all the post game content. That would. I know it's a lot, but I'd be willing to do it because I also want to see what else they've done to like the base game, if they've improved any of it or not. Because there are definitely some improvements they could have made on the base game, but but I still really enjoyed Frontiers. So.
Best writing in a Sonic game in a long time.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, it was the first time I had like heard the story or the dialogue since it came out. And like Roger Craig Smith's Sonic, it's not as jarring to me. Hearing it, I'm like, it's actually not that bad. At first, it was like crazy jarring, but I don't know. This time around, it wasn't as bad.
It's so weird, like that he's been the voice of Sonic for like longer than anyone now, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think it was just because for Frontiers they wanted him to do like a lower tone because they wanted the game to be a little bit more serious, and the game is more serious in tone. Which I think I saw an interview with him where he was kind of like, that's kind of he thought it was an interesting choice, but he went with it. So
See, I still remember like when they fired him and then immediately hired him back after like a minute. Like I was like, that was the weirdest like thing ever.
What? Because they couldn't find anybody else?
Probably. I mean,
who would want to voice Sonic?
Well, I mean, like
I'd be down, but imagine this voice coming out of this fucking hedgehog.
I wonder if they were trying to get like Ben Schwartz, and then they realized that's fucking expensive. For
like it would be cool to have, because I think Ben Schwartz does a good job with Sonic.
Oh, Ben Schwartz is a great Sonic, but
and it would be cool to have him in the games. But yeah, he's probably gonna ask for more money.
Yeah, the fact that they got Keanu in the Sonic and Shadow is still kind of crazy, but like
my favorite is knowing that when they got Idris Elba to do Knuckles, he did research by like playing all the games, and I'm like, I would love to see like footage of Idris Elba playing old Sonic games and like taking notes on like Knuckles' character. That would be so good.
I know it'll never happen, but I kind of wish he was the main Knuckles voice going forward.
I would love that too, but my guess is he's costly and busy because he's great.
It's be better than whoever they have now, who's just doing a really bad Dan Green impression. And Dan Green was never even the best Knuckles.
Yeah, but is what it is. I was saying before we started, I'm almost done with Lies of P, and I'm going to be doing an episode of Gaming Together with Nave, talking about Lies of P. So stay tuned for that. Like I think I get Souls likes now, because this one is the one that's really hit and sunk in for me in a way that like Dark Souls 1 could never do. Like I don't really like Dark Souls 1, or even a game like Sekiro, which I really like, but it's just, it really tests my patience. Lies of P hasn't tested my patience nearly as much, but I've been really enjoying it. And also like those records you find throughout the game, and then you can play them at the hotel. Like, god damn, those songs are so good. What the hell? Like, blew my mind. I'm like, god damn, these are like really good, and they actually fit into like themes in the story and all that stuff as well, which is great. Like Lies of P is just a really, really well made game.
No, like I love when video game music is so good you're actually like tempted to like buy the physical soundtracks.
Or like it's so good that like if you played it somewhere, no one would think it was video game music.
Mm,
You know, like my favorite song from the game, Feel. Like if I learned that on like a piano and played it at like a piano bar, I don't think anyone would go, "Oh, that song from that video game." They would just say, "Dude, that's a really nice song," you know?
mm.
So,
Yeah. No, I love video game. Video game music is like such a misunderstood like art.
yeah. I mean, of course, Persona Boys, those games really go above and beyond on the soundtracks
I mean,
when they really don't need to.
I imported the 5 soundtrack after playing the game for an hour, and I was like, I need to own. I was like, I need to own this.
Do you have a favorite Persona song from the entire series?
That's tough. That is, I I don't know. I love River in a Desert. I'm in 5. Like that's up there. Time to Make History.
Oh, it's a great one.
Most of 4 soundtrack. Like the song Deduction. Like that plays like during like the like plotting, like where they're like discussing like the case. I love that song.
Oh, the da 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 da.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
full
yeah, that's a good one.
the full version, not the shortened version.
Oh, okay.
Um, I love the Velvet Room theme. I love the disco version of the Velvet Room theme.
Oh, from the dancing game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one's good.
See, I don't get the appeal. Well, it's a good song, but like everyone goes nuts for Heaven from 4.
Heaven's a very
It's
calming
good, but
song.
like it doesn't, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm like, it's good, but it doesn't like blow me away like everybody else does. I don't know why.
I love the 4 like motif, like I'll face myself. Like the boss theme is great. I love the piano version that plays after you defeat a boss.
Oh yeah, that's always really nice.
One song that I love in Persona 5, the final boss theme, I think it's like Jabadath, Our Story, the combined version that combines both halves. That is a phenomenal song, just because there's like orchestra, like rock, bass, like a whole bunch of shit going on.
See, my favorite is School Days from the
That's a good.
Persona 1 remake on
Yeah.
PSP. They have remade Persona 1. But like, I don't know. I don't know where I heard that song for the first time, but I know it's like in a random YouTube video, and I was like, it was so good. I literally commented in the video, like, "What is this fucking song?" And someone said, "Oh, it's School Days from Persona." And I'm like, "Oh." And then I discovered it, and I'm like, "This is like my favorite Persona song. Like, I love it to death, you know." And if for some reason they ever did a Persona 1 remake, it better fucking be there. Because I think we were in Jelly Stream the other day talking about the Persona stuff, and one thing, or the Persona 4 remake stuff that's happening, and one of the things that kind of bugs me about it is the revival subtext, like the subtext revival. I feel like that would have worked better for if they did like a 1 or a 2 remake.
Mm.
They're reviving those games, the long forgotten ones. Whereas
2
for
actually would make
4,
a lot of
I
sense.
mean, there is reviving in Persona 4, like in the story and all that, but it's not really that big of a story arc, you
It's a
know?
stretch. It's a stretch, like to
Yeah,
call it that.
like most people agreed with me. It should have been like rerun or even like rewind, like have that TV connection to it, I mean,
Mm.
they could always change it, maybe. But I mean, it being named revival is not like the worst thing, but
Oh, my all-time favorite Persona song. It just completely Signs of Love from a Persona 4.
that is a good one. Yeah. On one of my walks the other day, I was actually shuffling through the Persona 4 music. It's good walking music.
Signs of Love is like, I love that one in the mornings, and then in the afternoons, Heartbreak Heartbeat. That's another great song.
Oh, that one's so good. Love
Basically,
that fucking song.
I could basically, you could ask like, what's my favorite Persona song, and I could just say, here's Persona 4 soundtrack, like
just play Shadow World.
Shadow World. Hell, even the opening to the original Persona 4 is really
Oh,
good
Pursue
too.
My True Self.
Yeah,
I like it, but it's not as good as Shadow World, though.
it's a different vibe. Shadow
For
World
sure.
fits the game. We'll say that.
I mean, it's just it's a song for the anime ass intro of the game
Yeah.
that wasn't in the original version. So,
Yes.
but it fits. Anyways, enough Persona. We're gonna talk about the news. No Persona news, unfortunately. So the Nintendo Switch 2, right? Like this,
Mhm.
this thing, it kind of came out. People seem to be digging it because I guess in 4 days it sold 3.5 million consoles. So it's people saying it's likely to be the biggest console launch ever. It's their fastest selling console. I believe it sold over 1 million in Japan already. So I mean, Nintendo consoles always start out really well.
Mhm.
Like I don't think a single Nintendo console didn't sell well in its launch window.
Yeah.
What I'm more concerned about is the tail. Like, is it going to have the same tail as some of their more successful consoles? I mean, we'll see. I think it depends on things like the games that come out and how healthy things like NSO will end up being.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
It's
So
kind of like thinking about it like comparing it to say like the previous Switch or like say the Wii, which like the Wii
yeah,
had an astronomical start and then it tapered off real hard by the end.
I was gonna say from like 2006 to like 2008, early '09, the Wii was killing it. And then once it fell off a cliff, it fell off a fucking cliff. But I think the Wii, it was more the gimmick had run its course, and Nintendo had kind of stopped innovating on the gimmick in software form, and third parties barely knew what to do with it, anyways. So it just kind of ended up being like, oh, there really isn't much of a need. Like we've had our fill with it.
And
Um,
a
where
very
the Switch was able to maintain that, I think, because of its solid price point, the portability aspect, and having quality software throughout pretty much the entire lifespan.
yeah. It's kind of weird that the Wii basically wrapped up that generation like years before it even ended, and then kind of just left Sony and Microsoft to just kind of compete for second place.
Yeah, yeah, but it was such a very interesting time, because I think all three of them were very viable consoles with very healthy ecosystems, and
It's the last true console. I don't want to say war because
it felt like it was the last time where things felt very even across all three.
it was the last
You
time
know?
where it mattered to say you were like a PlayStation guy or an
Yeah,
Xbox guy. Because
exactly. Or even a Nintendo guy.
yeah, I mean Nintendo still can get away with it nowadays because they actually have exclusives that matter. But nowadays saying you're a PlayStation guy is basically like saying I like this because
I've been playing this for like 10
yeah,
years, so I'm comfy here. I don't want to leave.
I like the
Mm,
controller more. It's just like one of those
mm,
things.
exactly. So, but yeah, Switch 2 starting out really strong. My guess is it'll probably do well for a while. I'm just going to be curious to what it does in like 5 years' time. Like, what's the
I'm
sales going to look like by that
curious.
point?
I'm curious what the Christmas season is going to look like.
Yeah, and I think it depends a lot on the games that come out.
Hmm.
So because actually one of them that is coming out soon is a Donkey Kong Bonanza, right? That's supposed to be coming out in July. Nintendo has said on June the 18th, which is the day you're most likely listening to this, they are doing a little direct for Bonanza, just to I guess do a more deep dive on what the game is, what it's going to be like, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I probably won't be watching it right away because I'm not going to be playing the game right away. It's cool to see that it's getting that love. What's weird is I've been hearing kind of there are people who have like gotten their hands on Donkey Kong Bonanza, and apparently results are mixed. Like some people like it, and apparently some people fucking hate it.
Hmm.
And I'm like, and that's a little concerning, but we won't know until like actual previews go live and I don't know why some people haven't been enjoying the game. It could just be a preference thing, but
I guarantee you there is a group of people who are playing into like this isn't Mario. I'm just kind of like no shit.
yeah.
Um,
Still, what boggles me, this is a personal thing, and that is the new design of Donkey Kong. I don't like it. It looks so fucking wrong to me, and so many people prefer it and like it more because it doesn't look like country. It looks like the older stuff. I get that,
it's like a
but
weird hybrid.
it's like Donkey Kong's country design is so baked into my head that that's Donkey Kong that this change just my brain doesn't want to compute it. Like I know it's a me thing, but every time I look at the new Donkey Kong, I'm like his eyes just look so fucking weird to me.
Yeah.
I can't help it. I'm sorry.
It's
I'll probably get used to it after a couple years, but for right now, I'm just like, it just looks wrong.
I don't hate it. I'm just curious how it's gonna look next to say like actual like rare created characters. Like I don't know if Diddy's in the game or not, but like Diddy Kong is like his look has been pretty much the same since he was created.
Is
So
Diddy Kong in Mario Kart World?
I don't know. I haven't really looked at anything in world because I'm kind of waiting till I get it. But
That's fair, but like that's weird. I'm thinking about. I'm like, that's weird if like Diddy Kong isn't in that game because he's in 8.
yeah,
Hold on, let me. Now I gotta check. Hold on, Diddy. Come on, Diddy. He is absent apparently.
huh?
Hmm. Maybe they're saving the redesign of him and some of the other Kong members for Bonanza as like a little
Maybe.
surprise. Maybe I don't know. But speaking of Mario Kart World, I didn't. Maybe so we all know Kazumi Tataka, right?
Hmm.
You know the great sound designer for Nintendo. He did Wii Sports, and I think he did all the Wii menu music. So like the infamous like Shop Channel and all that stuff was all him. And he has notably Tataka's song, his little 19-note melody that appears in a lot of his games. Not in every game, but in a lot of them. People found it in Mario Kart World.
Nice.
So it's apparently when you're at the character select screen, if you select Yoshi and then hang on Yoshi for a while, he starts humming it.
Oh, nice.
Which is
That's
which is
fun.
it's similar to Mario Kart 8, where I forget which track it is, but there's like Yoshi's like on the side, like cheering on. And if you stop and like pull up to one of them, they're humming it as well. And I guess
Nice.
and I think Tataka actually does the voice for Yoshi.
Oh, that's fun.
So yeah, a little cute thing I saw, and I'm like, oh, that's cute because I do like the little Tataka's song. My favorite is still Luigi's Mansion's
Yeah,
version of it
I was gonna say
because
that was the first time I discovered it.
yeah, and Luigi's Mansion, oh, what a fucking banger of a soundtrack. So good, so good. All right, let's see. Oh, so Konami had that little presentation last week where they showed off more of Silent Hill F, the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. They went more in depth on like the Xbox Bomberman game to replace the Ape Escape one, which looks cool, right?
Hmm.
But then they ended it with they're doing another remake, a remake of Silent Hill. Um, so at first, people were like, "Oh, which Silent Hill game is it?" But then the video that they had for it had Silent Hill 1 music, and then Konami later confirmed they are remaking Silent Hill 1.
So I'm assuming a proper remake this time, not a
Yes.
Shattered Memories.
Oh yeah, come on. Do you think Blooper Team's gonna remake Shattered Memories?
That would be a twist, but
No, I don't see that. No, but I think remaking Silent Hill 1 is good because the Silent Hill 2 remake did really well. And at first I heard people saying, "Oh, they might do Silent Hill 3 next." And I'm like, "You can't do 3 without doing 1
yeah,
because 3 is a direct sequel to 1." So they're doing 1 and that's fantastic cuz that game really deserves a proper remake because it's I don't want to say it's unplayable by today's standards, but it's a game that has shown its age quite a bit. I tried playing it a while ago. It is definitely showing its age, but
it's
you can deal
it's
with it.
it's impressive in the fact that it's like full 3D, which wasn't
Oh yeah.
common for horror games at the time. But it's also full 3D and it plays like it's full 3D
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah. Like I think the original Silent Hill 2 is a lot more playable by today's standards than I think people realize. Like when I played through it, I was surprised. I'm like, this is actually like pretty solid. Like I
see one of my favorite things is not because of the port, but like I remember when like the really bad HD collection or Hijinks Interactive came out.
yeah.
Um, I remember a lot of the comments were like, "Damn, those textures look like shit," and I'm like, "Yeah, because they were hidden by the fog. You weren't supposed to see. You
That
weren't
was the whole
supposed to
point.
see.
Yeah.
You weren't supposed to see that stuff."
I mean, there was a lot of fog back then to, hide poor draw distances and like loading in textures. So
Mm,
people just don't know.
yeah,
Yeah. There's your fucking burp, you assholes. Anyways, the Silent Hill 1 remake, it's cool that it's coming. Who knows when? Blooper seems to be in their phase of not making bad games anymore. So, I mean, Chronos the New Dawn looks great. So if that turns out really well, then I think there'll be more hope for a solid Silent Hill 1 remake. Who knows? Maybe they'll end up doing 3 and 4.
I would
And then
love
and then they could stop. They don't have to bother with any of the others.
yeah. Remake Downpour, make it good.
Or maybe Origins. Origins has some interesting story beats to it.
Origins is a solid game. Out of all the American made or Western made Silent Hills, that's the one that I think actually has the most promise.
Yeah. I think that comes down to what the fuck's the guy's name? The guy who did Sam Barlow. Sam Barlow was involved in that game. So I think that helps. He was also involved in Shattered Memories as well. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, this one was funny. So Mind's Eye came out recently. And that was being done by, what was the name of the studio? Build a Rocket Boy, which was like formed by former members of Rockstar
Yep.
North in particular. This game has had one of the worst launches in recent memory and is the worst rated game this year on Metacritic. I think it's at like a 43 or something like that.
That's a great sign.
Yeah, it's been a real buggy mess. A lot of great screenshots out there. This reminds me a lot of like Cyberpunk or AC Unity when those had their infamous buggy launches. This
Or
feels like
Mass Effect Andromeda too.
yes, Andromeda as well. So this is like another in that long line. It's great to get a new addition to the catalog, right?
That one WWE game that was hilarious.
Oh, 2K20.
Yes.
It was so bad that they took a year off and then came back, and it was much better.
Yeah.
So it's funny because when this game didn't get any pre-release review copies, which is never a good sign, and apparently like members of like the team, like executives, left before the game launched, which is also never a good sign. And they were trying to say like there was like conspiracies around people trying to like getting paid to shit on this game or whatever. Like people from the team were saying that, and it's like, well, that's not a good sign either, because I really don't think that's a thing. I refuse to believe that there's ever like grand conspiracies where companies pay people to shit on a video game. Like you can make some argument for companies will pay reviewers to have a decent review. Like, sure, I'm sure that's happened before, but the opposite, I just can't believe it. But anyways, like this review has been this launch, sorry, has been absolutely terrible. PlayStation has been issuing refunds. Like this is Cyberpunk when they let people refund their money on Cyberpunk as well. I'm not sure if Xbox is giving refunds or not. I don't think they gave refunds on Cyberpunk or not Mind's Eye, at least from what I'm seeing. But still, it's like that's crazy. I've seen some footage of the game, and it's like, oh man, how did this like get through like certification and all that stuff? Like IO published this game, the Hitman guys, and I guess they're not really known for their publishing.
Yeah.
So this was just a complete blunder, I think, on all fronts. Like everyone involved, it's absolute blunder. I mean, who knows? Maybe in like 3 years, this will like actually be playable at like $5. But I don't see it because I've seen some videos of people playing it, and they're just like, the game just really isn't that good, anyways.
Yeah, like
and all
people
the
are
bugs
making
just don't help.
I've seen the Cyberpunk comparison a lot, but I'm like, yeah, but CD Projekt Red is a good developer, and they apologized and fixed it. Like they took the time and made it better.
The issue with Cyberpunk was like the corporate heads at the top were not listening to the developers. Like the developers were trying to tell them like, we need to delay the game. We're still working on it. And the higher ups were just like, no, we got to meet the deadline. We've been hyping this shit up way too much. It has to come out.
Yeah.
And I think with Cyberpunk, there was a good game at the core. It just had a lot of really bad issues, particularly on the last gen consoles.
It's like No Man's Sky, where like it really needed more time.
Yeah, like No Man's Sky is a completely different game now than when it came out. Like it's kind of amazing, right? And I feel like Cyberpunk, when it got that big update, like I think it was like 2 years ago now, if Cyberpunk came out then, I think everyone would have been like hailed it as like a great game. People do now. Like it's one of the few games I can think of that had an absolute dog shit launch, but is now like revered as a really great game. I thought it was fine. I had a good time with it. But is what it is. It has its fans, and I totally understand why. So
Yeah.
Just a whole messy situation, and I don't think Mind's Eye is going to get that same. I just don't.
Well, this was
It,
another one of those games that I didn't know about until it came out, and I was like, "Oh, that's a thing."
yeah, I knew of it because of like all the IO stuff that was happening with Bond and Hitman and all that stuff.
Fair.
So it was kind of like thrown in there because they had an involvement with it. So
It's not as bad as Concord, where I didn't hear about it until it shut down. And I was like, "Oh, that happened."
yeah, yeah. Oh, since you brought that up, speaking of Sony, Bungie has officially delayed Marathon. I fucking called it, everybody. Though to be fair, I think we all kind of knew it was going to happen. They made a big post about it, saying like, due to all the art controversy, people not really liking the alpha, they just basically have decided to officially delay it and just really go in and try to fix certain things about it. They said in the fall they will have like a proper update with like the release date, which says to me it's getting delayed next year. Um, like that, this whole thing has been a complete mess, and the crazy thing is, it's not the first mess Bungie has fucking dealt with. Like
Bungie just seems
to the
like that.
point where I'm just like, I think they're just a horribly mismanaged company. I
They
really
are
do.
like the problem child of the video game industry. I swear.
Yeah. Like it feels like ever since they left Microsoft, it's just been issue after
Well,
issue. Like
it's
with Destiny 1, it's fair to put the blame on Activision because Activision did kind of dick them over. But like Destiny 2 then happened and that was fine. But
it's really funny how back in the day, like they were considered like they were like people used to praise them as like that strong independent company who like they fought against the evil Microsoft. Now I'm thinking about it
they
going
don't
like
need no man unless
I'm
it's a
thinking about
Sony
it.
man.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it now. I'm like maybe they were just dicks. Like in all
Yeah.
honesty.
Well, because I think what it was Microsoft just wanted them to keep making Halo games forever.
Yeah.
And Bungie was like, well, we kind of have this thing called like Destiny we want to try out, and I don't think Microsoft at that point was willing to let them do that. I feel like now Microsoft would be like, yeah, make what you want. We don't fucking care.
Well, yeah, because it's Phil Spencer era Microsoft where he actually understands how games work.
Exactly. So like they would be much better off now, but I feel like you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. So it's just kind of is what it is.
Well, it's funny because I
In
remember
fact,
when
I think when Sony acquired Bungie, it came out that like Microsoft did approach them about acquiring them, and just talks kind of folded. My guess is there was too much bad blood, and they just didn't want to deal with
yeah,
it.
they split on bad terms as it was, but
Exactly, and they like it. It's like if you've ever had like a bad breakup with somebody, and then like years later, you like for some reason bump into them, and then like you maybe think of the idea in your head about getting back together, and you're like, no. Like you thought about it for a second and went, no, I shouldn't do that.
well,
And then that's what happened.
it's really funny looking at Microsoft like nowadays with like we actually have like time to actually analyze this stuff because like I remember back in the day like Bungie was always seen as like the hero who like refused to conform because like everyone used to always say like Microsoft ruined Rare and I'm always sitting there going like no, Rare ruined themselves.
Oh yeah, I still fight with people on that to this day.
And
And
then like they
and,
bought
and like games like Grab by the Ghoulies or Cameo or whatever, would they be better if they were on GameCube? Not necessarily.
probably not. They might have been more developed because they would have had more time with the system and didn't have to jump through hoops.
Like I think at best they would have had Nintendo guiding them a little bit more, but that
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean you'll instantly make better games because of it.
Well,
You know
everyone
what I mean?
always because it's like my favorite like conception too is everyone's like Microsoft stole Rare from Nintendo. I'm like, no, Nintendo had the right to buy them first, and they didn't want them. Like they were like, you're too expensive.
I would argue Nintendo never really liked Rare to begin with.
They
Because
liked the money
they
they
did
made them. That was about it.
yeah, but I think they got butthurt when Donkey Kong Country came out and was doing better than their games, and I think that made them mad. I think that legitimately like soured them on Rare to the point where they're like, well, I mean, they're good. We're going to keep them around. But I feel like they always resented them
Yeah,
because
because
they did an IP of theirs better than they ever did.
yeah,
I mean, I disagree with that, but that's the general consensus.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things because then, because I always say, like, the perfect counter argument to the whole Microsoft kills studios things is I'm always like, look at Mojang. Like, they bought Mojang, and Mojang's just done their thing since Microsoft has not bothered
Yeah,
them in the slightest.
yeah, yeah. I
So,
mean, Microsoft still has done some bad stuff with laying off, like getting rid of studios and laying people off. But
that, unfortunately, that's something that's just throughout the entire industry,
exactly,
though.
it's not just them. I think some people tried to make a bigger deal out of the whole Tango thing. You know,
Yeah,
like yes, Tango are still alive, and they're doing something. I don't know if it's Hi-Fi Rush 2 or not, but like we'll see.
yeah.
We'll see. I won't be surprised, genuinely, if whatever Tango's working on comes out and people play it and they just go, it's fine. Like it won't be that big of a deal by that point. But who knows? Hey, maybe they'll make a great game. I hope they do. I hope they stay alive for that reason. And with the whole Tango thing, people saying, "Oh, they should do Evil Within 3," and I'm like, they're not going to do Evil Within 3. That was a Shinji Mikami thing, and he
Yeah.
is fucked off to do. Does he still make games, or is he just retired now?
He's doing his own thing. He'll show up with some interesting idea, like probably in the future, and then he'll disappear again.
Can you see him working with Capcom again?
Well, I didn't think we'd see what's his
Kamiya?
name? Yeah, Kamiya work with them again. So I mean, anything's possible.
It wouldn't shock me if they're just
I
like,
can see him working with Capcom again before I could ever see Kojima working with Konami again.
yeah, absolutely. Because I don't think Mikami did he leave Capcom on bad terms? I don't think he did.
I don't really think so. I think he just wanted to do his own thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he had said if I remember, I'd read about this, and it was by the end of his tenure, he wasn't really doing anything. Like he was just showing up to meetings, and he
It's
was
the
just getting
same.
bored because he had risen to such a high rank in Capcom, but he still wanted to make games. And Capcom was like, "Dude, you're like this high up, you don't have to do that anymore." But
It's
he's
the
like,
same
"But I
thing that
still want to
happened
make
with.
games."
That's what happened with Keiji Inafune, but Inafune was also kind of a dick. So
Yeah, like at least Mikami is, by all counts, a better person than that.
yeah,
But I mean, who knows? Maybe Resident Evil. Well, if they brought him back for Resident Evil 9, they would have made a big deal out of it. So I don't think it's going to be that.
the thing is, Resident Evil's doing fine, so it's. I
Oh
don't know if
yeah, they
they really
don't
need
need
him.
Mikami at all. No,
I see
who
more
knows?
like him coming back for like something original would be interesting.
That would actually be cool. I'd be down for if Mikami wanted to make a new IP for Capcom. Let's do it, baby.
Mm.
So who knows? Who knows? But since we brought up Microsoft, I'll bring up the two things I have. So today, Microsoft released a video. Sarah Bond talking behind a wall of Xbox controllers, saying that they have partnered with AMD for their future console plans, basically, like reiterating they're not getting out of the hardware business anytime soon. But the big thing they put in was that it would be still fully backwards compatible. And they even said they want to make devices that won't be tied to a single store, which basically is probably like a soft confirm that the next like Xbox console will have like PC integration, because they go in on like, we want Windows to be like the place to play games, and and believing in the Xbox brand and all that other stuff, right? So that basically all but confirms the next Xbox will have like PC integration with like, Steam and GOG and Epic and all that other stuff. Because people have been hinting at that for a while, that that's where they were going to be going. And I genuinely think it's the right move for them to go to. I think it's a really smart move, because it would be a good way of like keeping people in the ecosystem and potentially bringing more people over, as a way of saying like, oh, you can get the best of both worlds on here. Like you
Yeah,
can have all your PC games here, but then you also have all the stuff from Xbox, like, Game Pass and even their storefront for specific games that are still tied to that storefront. And even the backwards compatible stuff as well. Like there's like, if they do it right, I have to put those on there. If they do it right, I think it could be like a really great thing for them to do, and it's something that would keep me in, because if they were just going to do another standard console like the Series X again, I probably wouldn't have went for it, because I've been like, the Series X is fine. What do I need the other one for?
yeah,
But if they're making this one with, PC integration, so I can have the Steam games and play them on there and kind of have like a consoleized PC hybridy thing, for the way I like to play games, with a controller on a console, I'm in. Sounds good to me.
Hmm.
So we'll see what happens. Hopefully they don't fuck it up, but you never know. It is what it is, right? But my guess is that won't be for another 3-4 years, maybe. Like
Yeah,
I can't see them dropping another console earlier than that. I really can't.
yeah, because
Yeah.
it's weird that I still feel like the PS5 and series aren't even that old,
Yeah,
even though they are. It's
because
weird.
even not that long ago, somebody asked Sony about like PlayStation 6, and they said that they were essentially working on it, or they were like, like workshopping ideas for the PS6.
Well,
And
that's always the thing.
most people were like, are we really going to get a PS6 that soon? It's the same kind of thing where
Well,
I feel like if Sony makes a PlayStation 6 that's just another like upgraded PS5, like I feel like it's people are just going to be like, okay, especially when the lack of new software for both new consoles really has just not been there,
yeah,
you know?
it's one of those things where a lot of people forget too that these companies start working on the next hardware as soon as the current hardware is out.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
it's
But
like it.
but they're both like 5 years old, and usually it's probably at that point where they're like really working on like prototypes and trying to figure all this shit out. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
like we got spoiled by the fact that like the PS3 and 360 just lasted a long time, and then the PS4 and uh, Xbox One also lasted a long time. We
They're
forget.
still going technically.
I know it's weird. Like it's weird
Like
how long.
yeah, like I think it was like Xbox had shut down like certification or whatever for Xbox One games, but I think they brought it back because I think it was especially for like the Marvel collection, like they were able to figure it out.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft is just like, if people just want to make Xbox One games for whatever reason, they're just like, yeah, sure, whatever. Because if like people are still going to be making games for PS4 spec hardware, it's like, why not still have that open, right?
Hmm.
So I don't know. Whole thing's crazy, but
Yeah,
but speaking of that, remember how we said Final Fantasy 16 Shadow dropped on the Series X last
sure
week
did.
after the showcase, which is cool. Hey, I'm glad it's there. More places. I think that's a good thing. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if a Switch 2 port for this game was in the works. Wouldn't be surprised. But
Be
there's
nice to
been,
see the Switch 2 run it. So
I mean, the other consoles kind of struggle to run it because two things about 16 came out was the fact that if you play this game on the Series X in performance mode, it runs at 720p.
yep.
Digital Foundry did a whole thing on it, and from what I've gathered, what Square did to optimize the game, because also let's remember on PS5 it doesn't run super well either,
No.
is that in order for 16 to have a locked frame rate, I think it's locked at 60 FPS in performance mode, they turned the resolution down to 720p so that it would lock at that 60 FPS, which I think is hilarious because that's like what I do on like my computer to run games. Is like I just lower the frame rate to the point where I'm like, it's stale, it's good enough, fine, get it out there. But I feel like Square, I feel like that's just them not optimizing their games properly. Because like
Probably.
I believe it's even now if you try to play 16 on like a base PS5, it still struggles. Like
My,
performance
it,
mode, like its frame rate is kind of shaky. I think on the Pro it's fine, but
so I'm
that's just like
obvious.
I think that's just like pure hardware like pushing it. But I think on the base PS5 it still struggles. I remember that was a big deal even when it came out, was that the game just didn't run
Yeah.
super well.
Like I'm not the biggest graphics like performance guy. Like as long as the game's fun, I don't really care.
That's fair.
I will say the damn PS5 sounds like a fucking jet engine whenever I
Yeah.
play this game. So
Yeah.
I'll take that for what you will.
Yeah, I haven't played 16 on 5 yet. I can't justify buying it right now. Um I will eventually, and then, I'll let you know cuz I am curious to it. Um though at the end of the day I prefer having a more consistent frame rate than anything else. So it's a case of like, yeah, it's weird playing it at 720, but like if it's a locked 60, like that's preferred, but it's like I feel like Square just could have done a better job optimizing the game for
Oh yeah.
PS5 and series, to be honest. So I think that's just more on them than anything else. But just when I saw that headline, I'm like, that's hilarious. That is so funny because it feels like such a square ass thing to do.
I saw it apparently didn't sell super well either, which
That's an interesting one because yeah, I was looking into that. My first thought was
well, there's three
that
things that could answer that question. Like I'll just throw them out real quick.
no, go ahead.
One, it was Shadow Drop. That never goes well.
Exactly.
Two, it's like a couple years late to the party at this point.
Yeah, and the staggered release doesn't really help sales. Like that's
Yeah.
been proven before.
And three, the majority of people who probably wanted to play it already bought it on PS5 or PC by this point because it's also on PC.
It is on PC as well. Yeah.
Um,
Well, I would add a couple things to that, and that is
yeah.
that like one, I just don't think Final Fantasy pulls the number Square wants it to anymore. I don't.
No, especially when
it's a big name. And it still is a big name, but like I feel like it just like it'll never meet Square's expectations, but like I just don't think it conjures that kind of excitement anymore that it did maybe like 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
It doesn't help too that the series has a serious identity problem. Like, especially when like the head Final Fantasy creator, like nothing against the guy. I like 16. I'll put that out there. Like I think it's my favorite Final Fantasy we've had in years. But when the director of the game comes out and says turn-based games are dead, and then Persona 5 is out, along with wasn't Expedition 33 turn-based as well?
Yeah, Expedition 33 has sold
like
3 million plus, and
yeah,
it's probably gotten more engagement through the Game Pass as well.
Dragon Quest 11, like
Dragon Quest 11. I mean, the Dragon Quest 3 remake did really well. So it's this whole thing of, I think it's just Square. I mean, the last true traditional turn-based Final Fantasy was 10. Like ever since 10,
yes,
it's always been kind of trying to do weird, different things, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I like that they experiment with different ideas, right? But you can't be like a super experimental franchise and then expect every iteration to sell millions and millions, because people kind of need that like kind of comfort that they're going to come to it and have some familiarity with it to it being a big deal. So yeah, and also the game is only out for like a couple days. So, you know, and
this
it's like
just Doom.
Yeah, well, I looked. Well, apparently, also the whole thing about it not selling super well is somebody had conjured up this number. I think it was 22,000 copies, and their source for conjuring the number was reviews, and people have like looked into it, and it's like kind of murky. Like at the best thing I can say is that they kind of pulled the number out of their ass.
True.
You know, so like
it's also
like is it safe to say it didn't sell super well on that? But probably not. But like pulling out that kind of specific number, you know, and people looking through it is like, you know, that kind of a thing, you know. So it's one of those like, I'm not too sure about that. Genuinely, I'm not too sure about it. So
yeah,
you know, I mean, it'll be curious to see if Final Fantasy 17 will be multi-plat day one. I have a feeling it will be. And to see what it does at that point, kind of a thing. And also, you know, people like to say, you know, Xbox players don't buy games as much compared to the other ones because of like Game Pass and all that stuff. I mean, which is very true, but also it has a lower user base than PlayStation, PC, or Switch. So, you know, naturally, it's not going to bring in as high of numbers in comparison.
It's also a system that's historically not had a lot of JRPG fans.
Yeah, as somebody who's bought quite a few JRPGs on the Xbox, I totally get that, you know. But I'm one of the weird outliers in that regard. But you know, again, I think it's just people just kind of trying to make a mountain out of a molehill kind of a thing, when like nothing I saw really. It was more the how it ran surprised me a little bit more than the sales figures, to be honest.
Yeah.
So because it's still surprising to me that game hasn't really gotten performance patches on anything, like at all. Like that's kind of crazy to me.
Square just seems like they don't know what they're doing sometimes, and
yeah, they just, it feels like they are kind of running on name recognition alone.
Yeah.
You know, even though they do put out good games, like even like modern, some of their games have been really good and people really liked them, but But they are doing that whole restructuring thing, so who knows? Maybe they'll figure their shit out and actually be a force. And so when 17 comes out, maybe it'll be the big return to turn based that everybody wants, and it'll be great.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said for years that I think Final Fantasy will eventually do a standard turn based one again. I think it will eventually. Which number? I can't say which one, but I think they will eventually. Like, they can't not see the success turn based games have had in the past few years and not go like, oh, we used to do that. Maybe we should do that. Like, they can't not see that and go, we should do that. You know? But I don't know. The whole thing was weird, but eventually I'll play it. Like, even if 16 was on Game Pass day one, I probably wouldn't have played it right away anyways, As I said, I'm playing Liza P. I'm playing other games right now. Like, it's just like the timing was just not great. So, but anyways, moving on from that.
Speaking of systems, I just got my charge for PlayStation Plus.
Oof. Not good.
Well, I do it.
Did they raise the price?
I do it a yearly subscription.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And I was like, I got a PayPal thing. It's like $84. Just take it out of your account. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I go to PayPal. It's like Sony Interactive Entertainment. I'm like, oh right, yeah, that.
I'll say $84 for a year of that's not bad. Is it which tier is it?
Not the highest. I got the
one right below.
Yeah, I got the one where I get the 2 free games and the online shit, basically. So
that's not bad.
No, it's not terrible.
No, because also there's the big thing is people saying like, oh, Microsoft's probably about to raise Game Pass, the price of Game Pass again, which I think we all expected was going to happen.
Yeah.
So when that happens, I'll let you know, and I'll see if it's still worth it at that point. But
yeah,
we'll get there. Anyways, so remember when Randy Pitchford said that thing about Borderlands 4 costing $80 and saying, oh, people would find a way to buy it, right? It's not $80. They've confirmed the price at $70.
Okay.
So maybe Randy was right in this whole like he didn't have say in the price potentially. That I don't know, or maybe Gearbox and 2K saw all the backlash that Pitchford caused and just went, okay, let's just release it at $70 because then people will just go, okay, fine.
Maybe Randy just wanted to cause fucking chaos. Like today.
I mean, it's not the first time he's done that.
He just woke up and he was like, I'm choosing violence today.
I think that's every day.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, just some small ones to wrap things up. So I guess the voice actors for John Marston and Arthur Morgan are teasing something Red Dead related. To the point where Rockstar even apparently called them and said, hey, simmer it down.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what this means. I know there's a current gen patch for Red Dead 2 coming out for PS5 and Series, and I believe that's coinciding with it's getting a Switch 2 port, which is cool. But like with what's going on, am I thinking, is that it? Because those haven't been officially announced, I believe. But like, is that it? Or is there something like, I can't see Rockstar announcing a Red Dead Redemption 3 right now. I can't see that.
They got to get 6 out first.
Exactly. So I don't quite know what this means. Maybe a remake of Red Dead Revolver? Probably not. Who knows? But I just saw that and I'm like, I'll keep an eye. Maybe actually something cool comes with that. We'll see. Speaking of something cool, Digital Eclipse has announced, I think it was today, that they're doing another retro compilation. It's Golden Tee.
Oh.
Yeah. So they've announced that they are bringing all of the it says Golden Tee Arcade Classics will consist of 8 games from the trackball game developer Incredible Technologies, who are most known for Golden Tee. They did make some other games, but the list that we have is Golden Tee 3D Golf, Golden Tee 97, 98, 99, 2K, Golden Tee Classic, and then also Shuffle Shot and World Class Bowling. So they did a shuffleboard and a bowling game. And I saw that and I went, fuck yes. The dopamine triggered right in here because I think most of us have played a Golden Tee arcade at some point.
Oh, yeah.
That fucking trackball. And it's like, oh, God, I love Golden Tee. In fact, I think 1UP Arcade makes a Golden Tee arcade. And I'm like, man, I wish I could justify that. But when I saw that and watched the trailer, like it's pretty good. Y'all should watch the trailer. It's out next month. It's out in July. It's already available on the storefronts to pre-order. It's $30. And they even have like they have like a digital trackball. So I'm really curious to how that's going to be control wise, like simulating a trackball on like an analog stick or whatever. I'm like, that's going to be curious. So I'm probably going to get, I don't know if I'll get it day one, but I'm definitely going to get this because I think it comes out the same day as Shadow Labyrinth, that weird Pac-Man game. So yeah, so I guess I'm going to end up spending $60 that day, but it's for 2 different games. But yeah, seeing that was awesome. It's great to see. Like Digital Eclipse is really hitting their stride right now with this coming out, and then the Mortal Kombat collection at the end of the year. Like, who knows what else they're gonna pull out of their ass? Maybe we get Big Buck Hunter. Maybe we get a big old Big Buck Hunter collection, and I'd be fucking down for that. Absolutely. So, do you like Golden Tee?
I don't dislike it. I mean, when I think of golf games, I was more of a. Obviously, I've always said Hot Shots has always been my favorite.
Hot Shots is great.
I've played Golden Tee. Like, it was always like you'd see one in the arcade and you'd be like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. It's fun.
Yeah.
Golf games they're therapeutic in a way.
Yeah, they are for sure.
I don't like them as much nowadays for reasons, but
that's fair.
But even then, like, they're still fun.
Yeah. So a part of me was hoping, I mean, it could always happen that maybe Digital Eclipse or somebody does like a trackball controller, so you can get more of that authentic experience with Golden Tee. But maybe that's just, maybe that's wishful thinking on my part.
I was gonna say a joke. This is why we need Mad Cats back, but I think they are back.
Nobody cares.
I know.
I wouldn't. If I saw Mad Cats on anything, I wouldn't trust it anyway. So
yeah.
All right. Last news story, I promise. So the Gex Trilogy compilation has released. It is out. VGC did like a first play on it. Yeah, it's also $30 right now. It's Gex 1, Gex 2, and Gex 3. And I'm pretty sure it's just the console versions. And I think for Gex 2 and 3, I believe it's the PlayStation versions, not the N64 version.
I'd assume, because the N64 versions, 2 is pretty jank, and then 3 is actually kind of interesting, but
yeah, I mean, I would have loved if they would have thrown in like the Game Boy Color versions or like those other versions of the game, but in fact, I'm not even quite sure what version of Gex 1 that they're using. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like the PlayStation 1 version.
I've heard it's the PlayStation 1 version, which is fine. I mean, it plays better than
I think doing the PS1 version of all 3 was just probably like the safest bet kind of a thing. But that's all to say, in the future we will be covering Gex 2 and 3. Since we did Gex 1, I know the other 2 weren't 3DO games, but I think it's fitting.
It's tangentially related.
Yes. So eventually we will be covering Gex 2 and 3, and I will be playing this new trilogy version of both, so we can discuss that part of it as well. So
I can't wait for all these people that have never played Gex before to play them and be like, what is this humor? And I'm just like, isn't it great?
So my favorite is still I think it was AVGN when he did the Gex trilogy, and at the very end he's like, these games are actually like not that bad. They're actually like pretty all right. And I'm like, that was my thought when I played through Gex 1. I thought it was going to be some stupid, silly thing, but I was like, this is actually like kind of good.
Yeah.
This is kind of a solid ass platformer. So who would have thought?
The humor is incredibly dated, but that's kind of part of its charm.
Yeah. So, but anyways, that's the news. So let's get to our game this week, because I definitely want to talk about this one.
So for this week, we are talking about how do you pronounce this?
I believe I think it's Daedalus.
Daedalus. The Daedalus Encounter, starring Tia Carrera.
Tia Carrera.
Tia Carrera. She was in Wayne's World.
Yes, she is Cassandra.
Yes. What else was she in?
Well, I was gonna say she has a pretty solid acting pedigree. She was in General Hospital.
That's the one.
I was thinking. She's the older sister in Lilo and Stitch.
I did not realize that in the animation, the original animation.
Yep, in the movies and the TV. She is, the character's name is Nani Pelikai.
I'd never realized that was the voice. Yeah. Wow.
Well, it fits because Tia is from Honolulu, so she's native Hawaiian. She was also in True Lies. She was in Duck Dodgers. She was in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like she's been all over the place. She was on Dancing with the Stars for one season. So, and she's also musically talented as well through Wayne's World, and I think she has like some Grammys as well. So she has like a really solid like pedigree in like acting and all that stuff. And I feel like most of us don't even know that. We just know her as like the girl from Wayne's World, but she's clearly done a lot more notable stuff, which is fantastic. And as far as video games go, this is not her only appearance in video games. She was the character Lynn in the original Saints Row.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But this is what she first did. Was the Daedalus Encounter from 1995 on the PC, the Mac, and the 3DO. So this is the only console port of this game, which is interesting.
I also love the fact that it's the Daedalus Encounter starring Tia Carrere and this guy.
Oh yeah. Well, what's his name?
It's Christian Botcher.
Bocher.
He looks like he looks like Justin Wang.
A little bit. Let's see. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page at all, but looking at his IMDb, apparently he was part of the sound department for Titanic. That's just what that says.
Cool.
He was on a couple episodes of Stargate SG-1. Let's see. Anything else that sticks out? Not really. Nothing that crazy. Like, I guess his career never really took off, unfortunately. He did some work on the Annoying Orange series, which fucking hell. That's awful.
That's a thing, all right.
Yeah, a nightmare. I'm glad that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, which is yeah. I guess that's just how it goes, Sometimes you get big and sometimes you don't. But it's weird. Like this was during like Tia Carrere's like kind of like the height of her fame at that point.
So I was reading on the Wikipedia page a bit. Apparently, the reason she took this role is a bit more interesting than you'd think. Apparently, she read the script and enjoyed the character and was excited. She claimed it was exciting and different. Claiming that Blade Runner is one of her favorite films, and it was just like Aliens and Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Basically, like she liked the script and she thought it would be fun. And then Christian Bocher described his character as sort of a Han Solo meets Hudson in Aliens.
Yeah. In a way, yeah.
Yeah. And that he was kind of an idiot, kind of brave.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's fitting for sure.
He drinks from a toilet. So, yeah.
That was great. That was a great moment.
That scene.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's called the Daedalus Encounter because Daedalus, if you guys know any Greek mythology, is the father of Icarus. The whole famous story of, Icarus and Daedalus, like, doing the wax wings and everything. And Daedalus survived. He actually survived. So, and I think that's meant to be a theme sort of in the game, I think. Because like the ship being like really close to the sun and all that kind of stuff. So I think they were trying to do something kind of clever with it. But it's not like in your face or like kind of corny or whatever. It's just like, oh, okay. A little subtlety. And that's really one of my main takeaways from this was that like it was surprisingly subtle with how it like did any kind of like world building or like character exposition. Like we're so used to FMV games being so stupid and campy and just like in your face ridiculous, that for this to not be that, like being more dramatic and being more serious, but in a way that like benefits everything.
Like it was on the same level to me as like Wing Commander, where like it was like you could tell they took it serious.
Yeah, and I genuinely think it pays off as well because I think Tia and Christian both do like solid performances.
Oh yeah, that was not
bad at all. Yeah,
that was the highlight of this game was the fact that the acting is really. I mean, for an FMV video game, the acting is pretty good. Like,
I mean, even if this acting was like in a like just like some random ass like sci-fi movie, it's like it's It's good. It's not bad at all. Like you can tell the actors took it seriously, the crew took it seriously, and it definitely comes off as like a pretty decent product. Like I think even for the most part, the writing is solid.
Hmm.
You know, like
So
like it's not so many FMV games are like you can tell they dumb down everything to try to appeal to like kids or like the lowest common denominator. But here it just treats it like a movie, I
hmm,
think. And it's a rare occurrence, I think, of a FMV game that blends the movie aspects with the gameplay aspects
hmm,
in a way that like makes sense and I think works.
yes. So interestingly, before we get into the game fully, this game was developed by a studio called Mechadeus, and they developed only one other game, Critical Path.
Yes, Critical Path was I remember when I was talking to you about this game, I was thinking for some reason I was thinking like, oh, Daedalus Encounter you can beat in like 20 minutes. I was thinking Critical Path.
Ah,
I've played and beaten Critical Path. It is the complete fucking opposite here when it comes to the acting and the production value and everything. It is awful. But it's like so bad it's kind of entertaining.
so the
Like
the
like Critical Path, there was I'm sure you guys remember back in the day with YouTube when you had like the annotations where you
mhm,
could like hide them in videos and everything. Like Critical Path was one of those games that you could play on YouTube
yep, it
because
was
you would
like
because you would get those little spots where it's like, go here, go there. And on the YouTube video, you'd click it and you would just follow that path. And that's how I played Critical Path was on YouTube back in like 2009 or whatever.
it was like you could play like Plumbers Don't Wear Ties back in the day on YouTube just
Yeah.
because of how it works.
Yeah.
Play in quotation marks, but
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, but Critical Path, oh my god. Like that doesn't have a 3DO port, but
no.
holy fuck. Like if you guys listening to this, like go YouTube Critical Path and watch it. Jesus Christ. Like I'm gonna say a lot of nice things about Daedalus Encounter, but I can't say anything nice about Critical Path. I just can't do it.
So Critical Path is like the FMV that we like because it's awful. Like
Yes, like it's so ridiculous that it is kind of amazing. And the acting is atrocious. It is so
yeah.
bad.
Also, one thing about Mechadeus that I find really odd but kind of interesting is they apparently merged with Mondo Media in 2001. The Happy Tree Friends people. That's
So
a
do you
thing.
so do you think there are people who worked on Happy Tree Friends that worked on this game?
I have no idea, but that would be really funny.
It's not a 0% chance.
That would be.
We can
It's.
safely say that.
I was just like browsing. I'm like, what? Like, okay.
Oh, the webs we weave, huh?
The only other footnote is the 3DO port was handled by a studio called Lifelike,
Yes.
who they only did porting, and the only other thing they did was they ported Flying Nightmares to 3DO, which is another game we'll cover at some point.
I'm not even familiar with this one.
It's a jet simulation game.
Okay. Maybe it'll be good, maybe it'll be bad. Who knows? Stay tuned, kids.
I won't say anything. I have played it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Is that on the I think it is on the list.
Yeah,
might be.
because I own it. I think that's how I
Okay.
ended up on there.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, so Daedalus Encounter. What a interesting thing. So it follows like a trio of like I think they're like space marines, I guess.
Yes.
This is before anybody knew what Warhammer was. And then they're in the middle of a war. They get blown up. The two Tia and Christian survive. They have names. So I'm just going to call them by their real names.
So for those wondering, it's Ariel Matheson and Zach Smith, the most generic name possible.
I'm just gonna say Tia and Christian, okay? So like, but the third guy who Casey, that's right.
Not our friend Casey, another Casey.
Yeah, unless it is our friend Casey, who knows?
I hope not. Not for what happens.
So he gets apparently they just do the RoboCop thing with him, where he gets blown up, but they just like take his brain and implement it into a fucking robot. But instead of it being like a robot tank killing machine, or the amazing attempts in RoboCop 2, which is still my favorite scene in that movie when the robot shoots itself in the head. I digress. They make Casey like this probe, basically.
As Christian says, he's a brain in a box.
Yeah, basically. And he's like this weird little probe. And so that's how the game kind of does the gameplay. Is you play as Christian in this little probe, and you have all these various options. Like you can say yes or no. You can scan things. You can like use a floodlight, have a grapple arm, shoot a laser, that kind of thing. And weirdly enough, I think it works. Like the thing that pisses me off about it is that you have to hold the R trigger for any of the actions to come up and then to select them.
So fun fact.
Yeah.
In the opening scene where Tia's like telling you your situation and she asks you if you'll accept their mission. If you don't know to bring up the message, if you wait too long, she'll just be like, okay, whatever, and it's game over.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just non-standard game over.
Man,
if you just ignore.
FMV games love doing that.
Also, that scene where it's like that scene where she's like, "Oh, and I'll give you a quick look at what you look like now. Be prepared." And it just cuts. It's just literally a box with this little air thing, and it's like,
yeah, it has like the iron lung like on the bottom, which is cool.
I'm like, that's unsettling.
Yeah, and then after a certain point, you develop the ability to like R2D2 speak. You know, the beep, 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 you know,
because that's a plot thing. They were gonna make you a voice synthesis, but they pulled.
Yep.
They pulled you out too early because they had to go do scrap. Because like you've been in a coma so long that the war is over, and now you're just like scrap merchants.
Yeah, I think that they're just like there's scavenging dead ships for parts, I guess, because I guess when you're a veteran from a space war that's over, there's nothing else to do. I guess I'm not quite sure, but yeah. So, anyways, yeah, you do all that stuff. And it's funny with the whole yes or no thing. Like, if you say yes, they're like, "Oh, great," but if you say no, Tia just goes, "You always were a jokester," and then you just go on with it anyways.
Because there is points where like you're supposed to like point things out during like one of the FMV sequences, but if you don't do it, Tia will usually just like be like, "Ah, there it is, right there." So it's kind of it plays itself at times.
Yeah, but I think it does like a pretty good job of like guiding the player along for the most part. Like it is kind of open ended,
yes,
but it's decently well made in terms of like kind of guiding you along, and you always have like your little help thing to see like what these things actually do. Though I think it would have been easier to just like again, like instead of holding the R trigger, just tapping it to turn it on or off. Right. Yeah. And then like when you highlight it, it tells you what it does. You know, like scan, activate thrusters, you know, that kind of thing. Just little things like that I think would have been a benefit. But if I remember correctly, the PC version was made differently. So like the video wasn't full screen in the PC, but it had like the HUD and display always up, but it was kind of like off in the corner.
Like classic FMV.
But the 3DO version is full screened. So they want you to be able to like see all those massive pixels.
Also, just to point out, the FMV video looks really good for this.
Yeah, like it's surprisingly decent quality, and like the production value is there. Like even for a game that's mostly 3D models, they look good. Like they look really nice and clean.
They blend together very well. Like because I compare this to like say like Twisted, where like they've got these like really goofy models, and I love Twisted, but like these goofy models on like these really obviously fake like areas, but you look at this one and it's like, oh yeah, this is convincing.
Yeah, the integration is really solid, especially those bits where they're in like the spacesuits and they have to like take their heads and like kind of like bend them a little bit to make it realistically simulate that they're in the suit. Like doesn't look bad for that era. Oh, yeah. It doesn't look bad at all. And yeah, it's like just smooth transitions from everything, and also like the art direction is pretty solid as well. Like it has a bit of Giger influence, but it's not overt. It kind of has its own look and style to it, which I appreciate, and it's not like super grotesque or super like weird or whatever. It all kind of has its own like kind of science fiction-y logic to it. You know, like when you go into certain rooms and it's like, oh, this is their medical bay, or like, oh, this is their engine room. And there are points where you have to like, you know, solve puzzles and everything. That's sort of the main focus of the game. And the puzzles, they kind of have their own like kind of science fiction-y alien space logic that kind of fits in with everything. And it's like, oh, this like makes sense. Like you can clearly tell a lot of thought was put into like the look of the game, the presentation, even like trying to make a game that you could interact with in this type of scenario. It feels like they really tried. Like there was genuine effort here, and the effort was like from talented people who kind of knew what they were doing or were like clever enough to make it look good.
Oh yeah.
Which is more than we can say for a lot of the FMV games on the system.
Yeah. I mean, like not counting American Laser, that's its own. American Laser is like its own unique thing that I always kind of put in its own bubble.
I mean,
like,
at the end of the day, those are like rail shooters, so you could kind of just do anything with them.
And those are rail shooters, and they're supposed to be stupid.
Yeah, like, yeah, and those are fantastic. Like effort was put into those too, and they're just, yeah, they're very cornball, but they're so entertaining.
They knew what they were doing with those. They aren't like Digital Pictures games where like you convinced that they were trying to.
Like Digital Pictures, it's like I feel like they don't know if they want it to be serious or silly, so they kind of go halfway. And because they do that, it doesn't really fit either way.
Yeah.
You know? Though my favorite Digital Pictures game, I don't think has a 3DO port. I'd have to double check. But we'll talk about Digital Pictures at another time.
Yeah. Another thing too that I've really liked about this game is like the way that the actors are present pretty much throughout the entire game, and they're not annoying ever. Like
no, like these two carry the game on their shoulders basically, and
like, I love.
And they have chemistry. They have like genuine like chemistry between the two of them.
They really
like,
do.
As far as like acting stuff, like they bounce off of each other really well. They have their kind of serious moments. They have their kind of like tricky babble stuff. They even reference Star Trek here, which is funny.
Yeah.
And they have like the comedy bits, and yeah, it all just works really well. You know,
because I think of like the first time you see an alien in the game, like the Christian's character makes the joke about, oh, it's like that time I hooked up with one of these. I swear it said it was a girl.
It said it was female.
Just like, and you look at the alien, you just go,
like, sure, why not?
Sure. Or like the toilet scene where like he's like, water, yes, and then you can pull the toilet flush thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Like Tia flushes the toilet, and that's great. Like a genuinely funny comedic bit.
He's just like, oh, and she's just like, he thought it was a sink.
See, those are like universal comedy bits, you know, like just something so simple as like it is toilet humor, but it's done in a way that's not like gross or dumb. Like it makes sense, and like the execution and the punchline, it's all handled really well. Like the whole time I was playing, I'm like, holy fuck! Like I had zero expectations for what this game was going to be, and it completely surprised me.
I mean, like I legit bought this game because I looked at the cover and went, "That looks fucking stupid. I need it."
Yeah, and it's not at all.
No, this is not stupid. Horrible. I mean, this cover is clearly. You can tell what they were going for.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she is a beautiful woman.
She is. You know. But like I looked at that and I'm like, what kind of garbage is this going to be? And then I'm playing. I'm like, this is good. Like this is like one of those FMV games where I'm like, this is like what this is what FMV games strive to actually be.
It's one of those rare FMV games that you're like, oh, this like legitimately works. You know, it does have some issues, but
I'll get to that towards the end.
Yeah, we can get to that for sure. But
because there's another great scene too where like they do like the whole like the fake out like rescue like romance thing where like it's like, oh, are they gonna kiss? And then she's just like,
oh yeah,
nope.
she gets like really close to him, and then she's just like, it's my job.
Yeah, she like grabs his face, and she's
like they're like this close. Like it's a really good fake out.
Yeah, like funny stuff like that. There's like this scene where Christian's character gets knocked out and she's like dragging him along, and I'm just like, what is happening here?
Oh, I just realized we never really talked about the premise beyond like their scavengers. So they come across this alien ship, right? And they're like, oh, we should like take a gander at it, but like they hit it and like their ship gets like stuck within it. And then they're like, oh, well, I guess we have to like figure out how to get out of this fucking thing. And then that's when they get like in the spacesuits, and then like Casey as the probe goes in. And then for the rest of the game, you are in the spaceship, like searching around and trying to figure out like how to get out of it and all that other kind of stuff. Like we forgot to mention that part. So like basically, yeah, you're in this alien spaceship trying to like decode everything that's going on and like learning how the spaceship works and trying to like find your way out, basically.
Yes.
Like it has the setup to be like survival horror-y or have like that type of action, but the game barely has any action. But I think that's a good thing because the way the game is set up, it really wouldn't benefit from having like high intense action sequences. Like your probe has a laser, but you only ever really shoot it like twice.
Yeah. Like there's a point where you have to save Christian's character because it's like another instant game over moment where he's falling, and if you don't save him, it's game over because
Yeah.
they both have to survive.
Yeah, yeah. So like it finds ways of having some of those kind of surprise octane moments, but they're so like fewly peppered in that I
Yes,
think it contributes because the game has like atmosphere.
it does.
Like it has a really solid atmosphere, and I think that comes down to, as I said, the environmental design is like really good. Um, and yeah,
I,
like you have all these like weird funky puzzles.
I also kind of enjoyed despite the cover being what it is, it wasn't overtly fan servicey.
There's really none of that here.
There's one scene where like it's just the way they angled the camera, but when she's like trying to like wake Christian's character up, it's like, oh, there's a great down blow shot there. That's nice.
Yeah, yeah, but it's really like not that bad.
No, it's not, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, I know what the cameraman was doing.
Yeah,
Here.
but that's another thing. Yeah, I appreciate about it. It's not like overly sexualized, does any like kind of gross stuff like that because it really wouldn't add anything to the game in any sort of significant way. So
what I find really funny about that scene though is like it cuts to that and then it cuts to her dragging his body around. It's like, ooh, crotch shot. Like for this entire scene. It's like, oh, were you excited there? Well, it's gone instantly.
yeah, but yeah, there really isn't that much there. But
no, and that's I like that because I'm tired of like these. Like they could have easily been like over the top with this, and they thankfully weren't.
yeah, because it just wouldn't really add anything to the game.
No.
So most of the game is you're just roaming around the ship, going into so there's this like central hub, right? And there's all these like colored doors.
Yes.
And so you have to approach these doors and like scan them and then like shoot the right colored light at them to activate the opening door puzzle. And that's really where the gameplay is in these puzzles. I'm a little mixed on the puzzles overall. I think for the most part, they're like well done and like, not too terribly difficult to figure out, but I could very well see in a different time, say, not having a backup guide, because I tend to do with these games, so I just want to get them done, that like certain ones I could sit on for like hours at a time, because the solution or what you necessarily need to do isn't always that clear,
Yeah. Like I always think of like with FMV games, the puzzles are always like the biggest make it or break it sometimes. Like in this case, they're all fairly doable. Like I do think this game is a little bit mismatched in its difficulty. I think it's a little too easy at the start. It's like a little too hard towards the end with some of the puzzles.
Because like I think it's like the first door puzzle is you have to it's like you have to fill up the whole space with all the different like the different shapes, and you like flip the colors to be sure that they all fit in. It's like, okay, I think you could figure that out just kind of on your own, but then later on there's one where it's like different laser lights and you have to use like mirrors to flip them, but you have to do it in a very specific shape that I feel like is just not made that clear to the player.
Yeah,
it's probably there somewhere, but I feel like it's just like a little detail thing that's like, I feel like they could have made that puzzle a little bit differently or done something to make it a little bit more like, I feel like they're trying to use real world logic for these puzzles, which is a good idea. Say like with Professor Layton, where you don't need to like understand how the logic of this game works. You can just kind of use like common knowledge and like real world knowledge to figure out the puzzles. And some of them do that and they do them really well. But then there are other ones that just, as you said, kind of veer too much into like alien logic. And you're like, I don't know why I have to do it in this way.
Like, I always think of like the most, like one of the, like when it comes to FMV games, like the worst case, this game thankfully doesn't do that, but like the worst thing you can do is like just throw a puzzle right at the end of the game that just fucking like could kill your entire run. Like
Yeah.
Like the best example is like Phantasmagoria 2. Like
I have a soft spot for that puzzle, but it's not a great puzzle.
no, it's not even that it's hard. It's just that it drops it right in front of you and you have to like think about it. And there's just so much shit
Well,
at once.
because the entire game beforehand hadn't really had that many puzzles, if at
No,
all.
not at
And they
all.
were,
That's why
and they
that
all
one is
were
so
like nothing. Like if they had a puzzle, it was nothing. And so by the end of Phantaz 2, they probably got to the end and they're like, oh, we haven't had like any puzzles in this. This is like a graphic adventure point and clicky thing. We should have some like puzzles. And they just went, this thing.
this.
Just threw a puzzle at you at the very end of the game.
I remember
So-
poor Tony trying to figure that thing out. I was like, this poor guy.
And I was trying my best to help him because I had solved it before. And it was just it was a mess. But we did solve it. God help us, we solved
We
it.
did. Going back to this game though, I do want to say though, the one flaw I have with this game, and this is mostly an unfortunate aspect of the medium it is made for.
Yeah.
The disc swapping.
Yeah. Like when that came up, I was so worried because I was emulating this. And I was like, oh God. Like if anybody knows, if you're trying to emulate multi-disc games, it's a problem because emulators can sometimes struggle with that.
Yes.
And for like, say PS1 or Sega Saturn, the option is usually just to do like the M3U file creation thing. Like I think that's how I got through Police Knots. And that worked just fine. But then when I got to this on 3DO, I was like, oh, let me try that with this. And it didn't work at all. And that's because the Opera emulator in RetroArch doesn't recognize that or doesn't have a use for that. And I was just like, oh, fuck. I thought I was fucked because I had DM'd you because I was trying to figure it out and I couldn't figure it out. And I was like, oh, shit, what do I do? But I kept Googling. And somebody on Reddit was like, oh, Opera doesn't support that, but it has an option to where like the MV RAM, you can turn it on to where it's shared throughout the whole emulator and it's not just per game.
Yeah.
And they said that fixed it. And I'm like, oh, great. So I had made a save state at the end of disc 1. And I was like, all right, let me boot up disc 2 and let's just see what happens. I boot up disc 2 once I turned that thing on and it worked. It was as if I swapped the disc. And that was incredible. And I was like, oh, I can actually finish this game. That's great. Instead of just playing 20 minutes of it.
It probably wasn't as big a deal for you because you were doing the emulator stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. To playing this game on an actual 3DO, let me tell you.
I feel like it would have been easier.
It would have. Except, so unlike a lot of FMV games for the time, this isn't knocking the game at all. This is just an unfortunate aspect of these kind of games. A lot of these games, like the way the discs work is like, it's kind of because it's the reason why these are multiple discs because video files take up so much space.
I mean, you see how like clean the video is and how nice 3D models are. And it doesn't surprise me that it's on 4 discs.
Yes. In a lot of cases, like you go from disc, the discs go in order and it's not a huge deal. In this game, though, depending on how you're playing, because it's kind of like a central hub area.
Yeah.
The rooms are all designated to different discs. And if you don't have a guide, which I played this game blind, so I suffered a bit. If you don't know what you're doing and you're kind of wandering around, you're going to have to change that disc a lot.
Yeah.
I think I changed it at least 13 times.
I could see that.
And thank God I was using a top loader, because if I was using my FC1, I might have killed it. Like I might have, like, because my FC1 is already sketchy as it is with FMV stuff, but like just constantly in and out with the tray, like that can't be good for the system. Thank God for the pop top.
Yeah. Though I think at least on 3DO, I think this is the only game that really does that.
It is. It's just it's actually kind of a genius way of spreading out the data.
Yeah.
The problem is though, you just do it so frequently, like next to each other, that it's like you're just like so you have to constantly have all 4 discs on the hand.
Yeah, it was very common with like the PC games back in the day. Like there are so many like Seventh Guest was one of those where like rooms in the house would be different discs and you'd be constantly swapping, and a lot of like the Take-Two interactive ones like Ripper and Black Dahlia were like 6 to 8 discs.
Yes.
Imagine like swapping those all the fucking time. Or a game called Under a Killing Moon, which is a fantastic FMV like PC adventure game, like genuinely an amazing game. Had some of the worst disc swapping I've ever heard about, where you would like swap the same 2 discs 3 or 4 times going down one street. Like it was ridiculous. Like I get why they did the disc swapping in a lot of ways. As you said, it was a way of like spreading out the data and trying to make things a bit easier. And like there's a whole video about like the history of multi-disc games on YouTube. If you guys haven't seen it, you should. It's really good. And it goes into detail on that. And how like say later era games past this that were multi-disc would do it a little bit more clever. Like
Yes.
one that I thought was really cool was Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, where certain planets are on one disc, certain planets.
Well, I think it's like the beginning and the end of the game are on disc 1. So you start the game on disc 1, right? You do the intro, and then you swap to the next discs. You play the game, and then when you come back to the disc 1 for the finale, it then reads everything that you did, and then gives you the ending based on that, which I thought was like a really clever way of doing that.
Granted, that was only for the 360 version. The PS3
Yeah.
was on one disc because Blu-rays back then were insane.
Yeah. It was a little while till we got multi-disc Blu-ray games, but it didn't take as long as some people thought. This game it is definitely, I could see it being a problem.
I will say though,
sure.
the disc swapping doesn't hurt the experience at all. Like for me, like
no,
it won't affect my rating for this game. It was just something that I was kind of like, it was one of those moments where I was like, old games used to be fun.
It's one of those things that I think about, like if the game was like got like a modern reissue, right? Like how big would the file size be? Just taking a guess based on the ROMs I have, it would clock in at just under 3 gigs. So, which back then was massive.
Oh yeah. Like this is a prime example of one of these games that actually makes full use of the disc-based media.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because like
and handles it shockingly well too.
Because you think about like say like an RPG like say Final Fantasy like 8, that's on 4 discs as well. But the majority of the game is on each disc. It's mostly the FMV cutscenes that take up all this space.
Yeah, it's the same with FF13 when they put that on 360, and I think it was on 3 discs. And it was like if you looked at the game itself, it could fit on 1 disc, but it was all of the like really nice high quality cutscenes are what made it so. It's the same with like Lost Odyssey.
Yeah,
that 4 disc game. That's like it's only that because of all the file sizes. There you got another word. So yeah, it was just that era, I guess. Like video files take up way more space than a fucking game does.
Oh yeah.
So and nowadays, I think why games are so big in size now is because of all the high quality assets that we're able to get away with, and that's a lot of companies just like don't feel the need to have the disc or like cartridge limitations anymore, because a lot of people just do it with download files. Like even if you buy a game that has like the high capacity Blu-ray disc that I think can have like 100 gigs on it, like there are games that go even past that because they're like they don't need to fit it all on the disc anymore.
Yes.
So
but yeah, any
it has multiple endings.
It does too. We should talk about those.
I got the best ending.
I did as well, because it's actually not super hard to get the best ending.
Oh yeah. Like the worst ending is like you find out like the ship is like, you know, it's like closing in on the sun, and then one of the aliens basically is trying to give birth to its queen, right? And then it does, and then there's certain things that can happen. So like the ship can like fly into the sun and everybody just blows up.
Yeah, the worst ending is literally the alien ship reaches the sun and the Artemis burns and explodes in the heat.
Yeah. And then there's
the end.
And then the second one's a lot more complicated, where it's like the queen hatches, but you decide to like be hostile and try to shoot it.
Yeah.
And then that like causes a whole ruckus of bullshit. But then the best ending is it happens, you just try to communicate with it, and it just goes, "Oh, okay, you're fine," and then just like lets you free. And even like has that little subtitle bit of like, you know, have a good trip or whatever, which was that was like the corny part. Was at the very end when it's like, oh, they try to communicate with the alien and it's like successful and everything's all hunky dory. And it just has like a really nice happy ending.
Yep. And
that's the part where it's like that's kind of silly, but whatever.
And Tia cockblocks Christian again at the end.
Yeah, but that's a running gag at this point.
Which is just funny. I'm like, I love that she fucks with him the entire.
Yeah, I think she was more into Casey because like early on when she's talking to Casey, like right up close, like you can kind of hint that I think they're hinting that she kind of had some feelings for him. So, but they never really play into it or anything.
Well, he's now a brain in a jar. So
yeah, that would be uncomfortable.
A poor guy. Like you just.
I don't know how would you feel if your brain was just in a for the rest of your life? That'd be weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's like, would you even want to live at that point? Like,
I mean, I'd be curious to the idea of like, oh, I'm not a human, but I'm this weird mechanical thing. I'd be like curious to it, but I think after a while, I'd be like, okay, I've had enough.
Yeah, it's like I'm you're not even living anymore. You're just like a tool for everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, aren't humans just tools at the end of the day?
Well, to get morbid about it, sure. Also, fun fact: this game was rated 12 using the 3DO's stupid rating system for guidance for 12 and under. So,
I mean, I feel like if you're under the age of 12, you probably would have struggled with some of the puzzles and all that in this game.
Yeah.
So maybe it was that just being like, oh, maybe your mental capacity isn't there. But as far as like content wise, I feel like they could see it and it wouldn't really be that bad. Like, I don't even think there might be a swear word here and there.
Yeah, the rating is basically contains some violence involving inanimate objects, property, and creatures, and some strong language. So
yeah, it's very tame though. Like,
oh yeah,
like the combat is minimal to none. And yeah, there's like they maybe say a shit here and there, but like
there's a poop joke. Like that's
yeah, there is a poop joke. So it's not always sunny, so you'll be just fine.
It's the funniest moment in the game, arguably. Yeah, but reception wise is actually fascinating to me. Like it's a lot. So when I first bought this game and I looked at the reception, I was actually shocked how positive it was.
I didn't look at any of this until like after I beat the game.
So the majority of reviews are like the lowest review I see is there's a couple 3 stars. Next Generation and Maximum gave it 3 stars each. And PC Gamer UK gave it a 79. PC Gamer US gave it an 85. Computer Game Review gave it like a 78. Macworld gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Electronic Entertainment an A-, and Mac User 4 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I think those are all fairly correct. One critic said they compared the game. They said, think of Seventh Guest with a solid story and decent acting, and you get the idea. And I think Seventh Guest is like an appropriate comparison because I think this was the time where it was still like the best-selling PC game.
Yes.
And I'm not really a fan of the Seventh Guest. I think it was probably just a game that like passed me by in terms of like it being relevant. Because I've played through the game and beat it, and it was. I mean, I could see for its era being like this real groundbreaking, cool thing, but playing it now, it doesn't even hold any like retro value. It's just kind of like you solve some like kind of shitty puzzles and you see some like ghost stories, and that's kind of it.
I'm trying to think of
at least Myst still holds its like compelling nature, but Seventh Guest does not keep that going at all.
Because I'm trying to think like what were some of like the legitimately good FMV games from the era.
Myst technically.
Myst is definitely one of them. Like because
but most people wouldn't view it as like an FMV game.
Yeah, it's a stretch. It's more of an adventure game.
Yeah. Because the thing is, if you look up the best FMV games, you get a lot of like the modern ones.
Yeah, because
it's actually Her Story, Immortality, the Dr. Drecker games, those kind of games.
Because when I think like FMV games from this
Late
era,
Shift, if you've played Late Shift.
Yeah. I'm thinking like back on it, like obviously the digital picture games aren't very good. Um, honestly, like only FMV game I can think of from this era that I really liked was like the X Files game. And even that's not considered
Mhm.
a great game by a lot of
Yeah.
people. I mean,
Yeah.
Phantasmagoria is pretty good.
Because like the FMV games I'm thinking of that I liked are ones that are like they're so silly that they're kind of amazing, right?
Do we
Like
count Siberia as Siberia is an interesting case?
no, like I wouldn't count Command and Conquer either.
Hmm.
Um, oh, there is the Gabriel Knight games, particularly Beast Within, Gabriel Knight 2. That is FMV. I still haven't played that game, but people really praise that one for like really high quality acting. Like it was, part of the Sierra stuff, but like people tend to like the Gabriel Knight games.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's tough because most of them that I'm looking at, I'm just like, I liked it, but it was because it was silly and stupid. Whereas like most of like the ones that are like legit good or like modern ones like Contradiction Spot the Liar. Like
Yeah.
that's an amazing fucking game, but like comparing Daedalus Encounter to that is completely unfair.
No, Daedalus Encounter is an interesting case where it's like playing this, there wasn't a single moment where I cringed at like the badness. I was like, this is actually good.
Yeah.
It was weird to
Yeah,
play
it's
it.
not it's not Night Trap, it's not Harvester, it's not so fucking crazy and stupid that it's amazing. It's just like it is what it like it's surprisingly like as again I said subtle. Like it just feels like a subtle kind of thing. Like it didn't make a big splash or anything, but you go and play it and you're like this like really holds up for
This
what it
would be
is.
this would be like the case of like say like you have like a bunch of friends and you're like, guys, I'm gonna show you something shit. And then you start playing it and everyone just ends everyone leaves the game night going, that was kind of good. And
Yeah,
they
they're
don't
like,
know
"What?"
how to feel about
Yeah,
it.
we go like, "What the fuck, dude? You give us a good game? What's wrong with
Yeah,
you?"
it's like we can't laugh at this, it's good.
Yeah. I feel like at worst it could be perceived as boring, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like that's fair. Like it has a quite a slow pace, but the game is like what, like an hour and a half long?
Hour and a half. I think I looked up a few YouTube playthroughs out of curiosity, and it was like they were all pretty much hour and a half. I think 2 hours was the longest, but I think that play was
Yeah.
just bad.
Yeah, I think I put maybe two. Yeah, I think I put like hour and a half into it. So,
What's funny is whenever we do a game like this, I always like to watch like some contemporary reviews from like the time just to see like YouTubers out of curiosity to see what they thought. And I found one review, I forget the name of the guy, but I laughed because like he was doing the typical for the time angry reviewer shtick. And
yeah.
like he gets to the end of the review, and the whole time I'm like, oh, he's gonna shit all over this game because he started the review basically shitting on the 3DO, which was common back then. Um, but
Still
then
common now.
yeah, I know. The majority of people who shit on it though have never played it. I'm just gonna put that out there. Um, he ends the review by going, "This game is actually kind of good," and I'm just like, "Oh wow!" Like,
Yeah.
it's it's an interesting game. I was shocked. Like, I'm not upset. I paid $60 for this.
You know how I discovered this game?
How?
Spoonie.
Oh, did he cover this?
When he did his, I think it was his 2-part Johnny Mnemonic review. Like the first part was him talking about FMV games and like interactive movies and his experience getting them to work on like Windows 3.1 and all that stuff. And the Daedalus Encounter was one of the games that was just kind of one that he had mentioned, like just kind of in passing. He didn't say much other than just like, oh, eventually they started adding like real actors into them. And then it cuts to like a trailer where somebody's saying the Daedalus Encounter starring Tia Carrere in the hottest role of her career. And he just goes, huh, yeah, right. Which is, yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But he doesn't comment on the game at all.
Huh.
So
That's
yeah,
interesting.
he talks more about oh god, it's like a PlayStation 1 interactive movie that's like absolute dog shit. Hold on. I gotta look it up real quick. I think it's called Fox Hunt. I think it just hit my brain. Yeah, it was on the PS1. Yep, that's the one I'm thinking of. Like it's this like really stupid fucking thing, but it's like meant to
Oh,
be
I've
really
seen
stupid.
this. I've seen
Yeah.
this. This is one of
When
those things where I see it and I go, nope.
I think we're gonna have to cover this one of these days
Maybe.
in the future. Like it's too fucking weird to leave alone, but you know, I feel like we're gonna have a hard time with it because the footage I have seen, I'm like, this sucks. This fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But you know,
But
hang in there. It fucking Capcom did this. God damn it.
Capcom published the weirdest fucking shit back in the
I
day.
know, like X6. What the hell's wrong with them?
It's a game, all right.
Well, I had learned the other day that like X5 was meant to be the ending of the series.
That's the fun thing. X5 was supposed to be the end. He wrote it to be the end because it was supposed to transfer into Zero. It actually, the ending of X5 makes perfect sense for how Zero starts. And then Capcom said, nah, X6. So then Inafune had to rewrite the ending to X6 to make sense. And then they were like, nah, X7. And he just said, fuck, I don't care.
Yeah. So when I beat X5, I'll jump straight into Zero.
You can't, well, he kind of changed the start of Zero to make sense with 6, but it's up to you.
Whatever. Anyways. But yeah, I think that's it on Daedalus Encounter. I can't really think of anything else to say.
Yeah. I guess must play, okay, stay away. I'm gonna say it's a must play.
You know, I'm gonna say must play as well. I think for the FMV games we've played on this show and on this console, this definitely ranks up there as like one of the better ones.
It's not even like an ironic.
I can't say the best because I think we'd have to like look at them all, which we'll be doing in the future. But like, of like, essentially of the ones that take themselves seriously, I think it does the best.
Like it's
like,
not even like
it's no Mad Dog McCree, but Mad Dog McCree is its own special beast.
I mean, Last Bounty Hunter to me is probably the funniest, but that game was supposed to be that. Like,
yeah,
so it's not
and it fucking nails it, right? Like it's so good. Whereas this, I think it nails what it's trying to do.
Yeah, like I know, like we gave Plumbers Don't Wear Ties a double must play. That was ironic.
It is a must play. It's an ironic must play. Yeah, this is an unironic. Like, give this one a try. Like,
yeah,
I dare call it a hidden gem.
Like, if you are a fan of FMV style games, like legitimately, not even just because they're stupid, like because you actually like the art,
you'd be pleasantly surprised. I was pleasantly surprised playing this.
Like, I said earlier, I bought this because I thought it looked dumb, and then I'm like, this was actually kind of worth it.
Yeah, like I had heard of it before, and I was like, oh, this is going to be some like dumb, stupid shit that like completely flops. And then I play it, and it's like this like slow, almost kind of character driven sci-fi thing about like exploring a ship, and the way it's like written and paced is really solid. Almost it's closer to a movie than a game. But
they got an actual actor, and she actually acted.
Yeah, and like, but even the non-known actor does a good job, and the way they integrate the gameplay doesn't feel forced. Like it's set up in a way that they're like, okay, this is how we make it interactive without like forcing it or doing any kind of stupid stuff. And it just like ends up working like shockingly well.
The fact that it's such a complex, like compelling story too, and it's literally just two characters.
Yeah. Yeah, it just shows the power of like those two actors carrying the game, and like they have like pretty solid chemistry with each other, the way they can bounce off each other pretty well. And yeah, like I just, holy shit.
Yeah.
I had zero expectations. I didn't look up a thing. I'm just like, let's go for it. And here we are,
It was one of those things where I was like, I'm ready for some shit. And then I left going,
I was like, what the fuck happened?
It's almost like Siberia, only not as batshit insane. Like, where
in a way, like, yeah.
Where I left being like, thinking this was going to be dumb, and then I left going like, I liked that. Like it was so just like it left me stunned. I was like shocked.
Yeah, for real.
Like this game is the prime example of why I started this podcast. Like to discover this shit.
To find that diamond in the rough. And boy, howdy, we found one.
We did. They can't all be winners, but sometimes they are.
I'm just so glad we didn't find a shit one.
I know. I was like kind of dreading it because I was like, oh, is this gonna be bad? And I'm like, it's good. It's like hallelujah, it's good.
Yeah, I'm just so glad it wasn't one of those like painful ones that I stopped playing because it was so fucking bad.
Yeah, like the cringe.
So I was like, holy shit.
like with the bad ones, once they hit a point of cringe, you just can't play them anymore. That's when you know it's really bad.
Yeah, for real.
Like sometimes the cringe is funny, but not always. Like sometimes it's too much.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah. Oh, that was a good game.
What the fuck?
I know. Sometimes, man. I can't wait till we get to episode 100 and we rank them again because I'm curious how the ranking's going to change.
Exactly.
But in the meantime, I don't. Did we plan what we were going to play next week or
Yeah, I think it's Lost Eden.
Lost Eden? Nice,
Let me double check the schedule. Yep, next week is Lost Eden.
sweet. So look forward to playing that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so once again, guys, thank you for joining us on the 3DO Experience. So you can find the 3DO Experience on all the major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. Be sure to check us out over on the Superpod Network. That is superpodnetwork.com. Awesome site where you can find all sorts of different podcast creators, videos, blogs, whole bunch of awesome people there. Check them out. And yeah, with that, everybody, once again, thank you for joining us, and we will see you all later.
Bye bye.